Hey there. Almost through my entire life, I was thinking that coffee is making you a very energized person and caffeinated drinks push you even further. I figured out that it's more about being anxious and stressed. I would like just to share my journey, how I started from 4 years old and how I took around like 16 espressos per day and where did I end up right now. I've spent more than 1 month doing an experiment over my coffee consumption to find out which will be the best solution for me and maybe for you. How to take coffee to stay productive but not stressed. Of course, we can start this story from Yemen monks who 5 centuries back chewed coffee beans like this, but not roasted, and they felt awake very much because like at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. they were able to start praying and starting doing work. My story is about my childhood. I was a curious kid and my mom was drinking coffee and I asked mom, what you're drinking? She of course told me the coffee. I said, like a normal kid, I want it. And she prepared coffee but with lots of milk and lots of sugars. Comparing to Coca-Cola, it felt very nice. It was kind of similar but with different taste, so I decided like they are kind of friends and I can take whether this or that, which is okay. Around like 10 to 15, sometimes I was trying Nescafe quick drinks, or I don't know how to describe them properly. So it was more about trying vanilla or cinnamon taste with lots of sugars again, but I didn't realize that there was a caffeine which like made me slightly more awake rather than was I. And the prelude to real full-blown
coffee medicine in my life happened
somewhere around 20. I went to the university and between the lessons it kept me awake for not that much time, but at least like some percentage of time. I was like more productive and I was able to like write some down instead of just sleeping on those lectures, which is completely not fine. And at that moment I invented a very funny drink which I called turbo latte. The key thing, you're going to coffee machine in the office, you're pressing like the regular latte, and on top of that espresso shot you're putting one more extra, and at that moment I realized that like 14 cups it's too much, so I decided to decrease the coffee consumption, but it still was like around like 5 to 10 espresso shots per day, which like normal people will know that it's crazy, right? And coming closer to my 35 where I'm now, I start figuring out that after having more than 3 espresso shots per day, it stops giving you power, it gives you anxiety. When I have some very tough day on my work, coffee started to work like a multiplier to my stress. So I decided to start working on my habit tracker, and I found out that when I go over the bar of 3 espresso shots, I felt myself very stressful. So I decided to keep 3 espresso shots as max. And at some moment, it happened actually in this July, I decided, what if I will just get rid of coffee completely? I decided that the working week I will not consume any kind of coffee, like 0, and on the weekend I will take as much as I want. But in reality I didn't go over like 2 espresso shots per day, and this is the very interesting point. So almost the whole July was very fine. I drank only water, I didn't drink like Red Bull, I didn't drink like any Monster Energy and the rest of the stuff, I didn't consume coffee, decafs, no. Like working week was like very clean to me. And on the first Saturday when I went with my family to the cafe, I took espresso shot, I took 1 cake, and I was so happy. I felt like happiness is driven my blood, and this blood like full of happiness is driven my mind. It felt like a drug, honestly, but it was just a coffee. Funny thing happened on the next day. When I took another espresso shot, I realized it tastes, it's very rich and it has good texture, but it didn't kick me in enough. But starting from August, I began to work even more, and the last Wednesday was the day when I decided to break the rules and I had to take 1 cappuccino. Actually, it was good. And the very funny thing that I realized that for 2 hours I had that much boost, which kept me engaged on questions which I'd like to skip before. I decided to like break my experiment within 1 working week, and I took 1 coffee with 1/2 of the Kit Kat, and I had so many like thoughtful ideas on the code and on the changes. So I was like very happy to, you know, like outstand at least, and like probably that energy boost is the reason why I started like taking much coffees. And at this moment of the experiment, I started realizing how coffee works on my body. First of all, I have to say about limitations. From 5 to 7, I cannot fix me up by anything. I mean, neither caffeinated drinks or coffee will not help me. Maybe only some exercises like 20 push-ups will boost me a little bit, but like this is the only thing I can have. And if I'm drinking coffee before 9 or 11, to be honest, it doesn't give me that much energy. So the window when I can consume coffee, it starts from 11 and ends up somewhere like at 3. Because after 15 minutes, when I'm not drinking like coffee in day before, it kicks me in and I have that energy boost for 1.5 or 2 hours. But again, this is not a secret formula and you should find your own way if you want to reduce the consumption of the coffee. To manage the amount of caffeine intake and being wide awake, the good point will be to have some small exercise somewhere in the middle of the day or maybe in the morning. By the way, if you'd like to talk or listen about exercises and how I'm keeping myself in shape, subscribe to this channel and hit like somewhere. It should be like on the bottom. Also, when you're not drinking like every day, you can realize the taste of coffee is very different, because at some point like all of the coffee I consumed was the same taste. Doesn't really matter, was it Stardust or I don't know, you name it. So yeah, this is my journey, and if you think that I will stop at this moment, no. My next step will be to try decaf. How decaf will affect my mind? Will it give me some placebo effect or just water with coffee taste? So let's see. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this story was interesting for you, and I hope that you will be able to find out your own way how to drink coffee. Conclusions. What is my own rule now? I decided to use coffee as a precision tool when I want to have some energy spike or when I craving for the coffee taste. I prefer to make habit tracker on the paper, but like you can easily use the phone, which will be a great helper and always will stay with you. And yeah, see you next time.